If there are any stains on my shirt, just ignore them. I have a newborn. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shakia if you are new here. And in today's video, I am sharing my pumping journey so far, my breastfeeding journey. I wanted to film this in hopes to help anybody else who might be expecting and they're thinking about breastfeeding or pumping, or if you've already started and you feel like you're about to give up. I just feel like when I had my first baby, I gave up very quickly, and I just want to help in any way that I can and just share my experience, and hopefully someone can relate and it just helps them to keep going. So I had my first baby in 2017 and I gave up really early when it came to the whole breastfeeding and pumping journey or situation. And this time around, I just felt like I had a second chance. And so I stuck it out. I knew I wanted to try breastfeeding this time around and I wasn't gonna just give up easily. So I gave birth on a Sunday and my baby latched right away. She latched right on. It was painful and very painful, extremely painful, but I still kept going on, letting her latch and everything while I was in the hospital. I would say on my last day there, I asked for a pump, and the nurse, she seemed very hesitant. I kind of felt like she was trying to talk me out of pumping, to just latch the baby. And I was like, I want to pump because I was in so much pain. I even started, I don't know if you say blistering, I don't know, but I was being scarred from this breastfeeding. I wanted to try pumping because they were like, well, try massaging the colostrum out and all this other stuff. And I just feel like when I try to massage, I'm uncoordinated. I wasn't getting anything out. The nurse, when she did it, it came out. It was able to be syringed. But yeah, so I just wanted to pump, and I just feel like I was getting some pushback, but they did give me a pump in my room and I was able to pump in there. So when I got back home and I was breastfeeding, I was still in so much pain. I'm pretty sure she latched on to the left side first, and that one was extremely painful. So when I got back home, I started latching her only on the right side. And yeah, I was not trying to deal with the left side at all. I was the right side only, but I was still in so much pain when I got back home from breastfeeding. Every time she would latch on, I would want complete silence. If anybody talked, it was basically the pain. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but the pain, I would be scrunching my feet up. It was extremely painful. And I gave birth on a Sunday, and it was also a holiday weekend, so the lactation consultant wasn't there. So I would have to wait until during the week to speak to a lactation consultant. So anyways, Wednesday is her Billy appointment, and by the time Wednesday comes, I was already making a plan. I was like, okay, I'll pump before. I was either planning to pump or breastfeed right before the appointment, so that she wouldn't be hungry or anything like that. I was trying to figure that situation out. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get up, get ready, and pump. But when I got up that morning and we were getting ready and everything, I was really starting to think, I was like, I think I need to just give her some formula, and then give her some formula while we're at the appointment, because I was I didn't want to latch her again. And then I also felt with what I was pumping was so little. Like if I can find the picture of what I pumped, like I was pumping and I was only getting like milliliter syringes. I was like feeding her that syringe when we were home, and I was like, now that I look back on it, I was feeling bad because I was like, was that even enough? But they say whatever you pump or whatever is enough for your baby. So it's not like she was screaming and hollering in hunger. So Wednesday, the day of her Billy appointment, I was like, I even brought it up to my husband. I was like, I think I want to like start giving her maybe formula at night just so that I can pump during the day, because I feel like I wasn't getting a lot. So I was like, maybe at night or something, or some of her bottles, we can give her formula. And he was supporting whatever I wanted to do. So that was nice. So for her appointment, her next feeding would have been like around the time of her doctor's appointment, that Billy appointment. So I already made the formula bottle. I think I made 2 ounces because that's what the directions had, like the lowest amount the directions had. So I made like 2 ounces, I think, or whatever the lowest amount of the formula is. And I took it with us to the appointment, and we were talking to the pediatrician and everything. And she was asking how we were feeding. I was like, I was breastfeeding and pumping, but I didn't really have a guideline on how much she should be eating. And even at that Billy appointment, it's like we weren't given like a clear answer. So I was like, I don't know how much she should be eating. And yeah, so I was like, we told her that we were thinking about like supplementing with formula while still pumping and breastfeeding and all that. She was like, oh yeah, that is a nice idea. And she was like, I can get you upstairs to the lactation consultant so you can talk to her. And so we're like, okay, because we didn't get to talk to her since it was a holiday weekend. So she calls upstairs to the lactation consultant. The lactation consultant is in. So she did warn us though. She was like, the lactation consultant is kind of old school, so if we bring up anything about formula, then she's gonna like try to, she basically doesn't like formula at all. And I was like, well, I'm okay with either. My first baby, he had formula. He was formula fed the whole time. So I'm fine with either as long as she's fed and she's growing. And I guess the pediatrician saw what kind of formula we had in the diaper bag, and she came back with a lot of cans of formula. Like the can of formula that I made for the doctor's appointment, we didn't buy any formula. Like we got it when we did our 3D ultrasound. Some other reason we have formula probably too. But the pediatrician, she gave us a lot, and so I plan on donating those cans of formula because we haven't had to use them, thankfully. But we gave her the bottle during that appointment, and I think she only drank like a half an ounce, and it was so nice to be able to see like how much she was eating, because when you're breastfeeding you don't see like how much the baby is eating, but when you're pumping or you're giving formula, you're able to see a visual, and that's what I needed. I needed a visual of how much she was eating. So I think she was only drinking like a half an ounce of that formula. That's the one and only formula bottle that she had, and she only drank like half an ounce, but it was great to be able to see how much she actually was intaking. So after that appointment, we go upstairs and we try to wait for the lactation consultant, but unfortunately she was in with somebody else, and we were on a time crunch because we had to pick my son up early from school, and so we had to leave. But honestly, I didn't really care to see the lactation consultant because I knew, not like I actually knew, but I felt like I knew that she was going to try to get the baby to latch again. And I was in so much pain. Like I did not want her to like even try to get my daughter to latch on Like, yeah, I just didn't want to do that. Like, I had it in my mind after that I wanted to exclusively pump. But after that Billy appointment, I did feel good about like being able to do some formula and some breast milk. So that helped ease some of my stress, and it also helped to seeing how much my baby actually drank. So after that, oh, and at that point, I had only started pumping my right side because my left side was tore up. Like, they had gave me Meta honey patches while I was in the hospital, because like I was serious. They were torn up. They were torn up, and I was not trying to touch that side. Wasn't trying to latch on that side. So I was just sticking to the right side. And spoiler alert, my right side is my good side. Like, I produce more on this side than I do my left side. So after that appointment, I decided to exclusively pump. I no longer cared about latching my daughter on to the breast anymore, and I made a pump schedule because I knew, like, from what I saw before I gave birth, that it's good to pump every 2 to 3 hours. So I just did, and the schedule that I was making was every 3 hours, and I made my schedule ideal to like when I like to wake up. So I don't mind waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So starting at 5 o'clock and just doing every 3 hours all throughout the day. And I was waking up in the middle of the night. And I'll say also, after that Wednesday, when I was consistently pumping, my milk did start flowing in. So it's like more stress was off of my shoulders. I was actually seeing the milk coming in, and it was making me so happy. And on Friday, she had a follow-up Billy appointment because I guess because the concerns we had on Wednesday. So we had a follow-up Billy appointment, and she was gaining weight, and that definitely alleviated so much stress. I knew like what I was producing was working, and that she was actually fed and gaining weight. So that first week of pumping, when my milk started coming in, I started my first pump of the morning was 5 ounces. I think that was combined. Like, I think I just had the suction on lower when I did start pumping on my left side, but I had the suction lower. And yeah, combined, I think I was making 5 ounces, and that was 5 ounces for the first morning pump. Following week, and I was pumping for 30 minutes. I don't think, okay, so I had nursing bras, but I didn't have pumping bras. So at that time, I was pumping one side at a time. And also because I felt like I was producing so little on each side, I was pumping one side at a time. So I was spending an hour pumping. Yeah, I was in my room pumping for an hour, and yeah, that was a lot. So eventually I ordered pumping bras so that I can just slip my phalanges, whatever, through the bra. If you see me constantly looking down, I'm looking at my notes. I've been logging this stuff since day one, and yeah, I was supposed to film this video. I wanted to do it monthly, but you know how things go with the new baby. So the following week, I was actually able to freeze my first freezer bags because I didn't have a lot of storage to like have my milk just sit in the refrigerator for the 4 days that it can be in the refrigerator. So I had to like empty those bottles out. So I was able to freeze the following week 2 5-ounce bags. So that's when I started my freezer stash. I will say, and this is not recommended by exclusive pumpers. Like, I'm a part of a Facebook group, and they say like the middle of the night pump is so essential, critical, whatever. But that following week, I cut out the middle of the night pump because I was tired. I wanted my sleep, and I just cut it out. Like, I couldn't do it. So I cut it out, and it's not recommended by exclusive pumpers to cut out the middle of the night pump. Like, they want you to keep pumping consistently and everything for like 12 weeks, which, yeah. So if you do decide to cut out your middle of the night pump, that's at your own risk. But I didn't see it affect my supply yet. So fingers crossed that my supply doesn't like tank at some point, but that was way in the beginning when I stopped my middle of the night pump. So I do have a theory, which I'll get to, why I feel like my supply wasn't affected yet. I'm gonna just speak it into existence that it's not gonna affect my supply at all. I'm about to hit the 12-week mark anyway, so, and I'm not seeing any dips in my supply. So that same week that I cut out the middle of the night pumps, I ended up getting an increase in my first pump of the morning pump, where I was pumping in a total of 7 ounces first thing in the morning. It's so crazy. When I was writing the notes like on my notepad from out of my phone, and I look back at how much I was producing then, I was worried for nothing, because yeah, that's a good amount that I was producing then. But of course I didn't know, and I'm in the future now, so I can, yeah, I know now I was producing enough. Someone accidentally sent an email to everybody. So at some point I tried pumping, switching from pumping every 3 hours to pumping every 2 hours, because my parents were out here for a little bit after I gave birth, the day after I gave birth, maybe. Not the day after. They were out here for a little bit after I had gave birth, so I had tried switching from every 3 hours to every 2 hours while they're here, because yeah, I wanted to take advantage of the time that they were here to like really try to increase my supply as much as possible. That's another thing I feel like helped with my supply too. I just feel like this time around my postpartum went a lot smoother. Like, my parents, they came out here, I think the day after I got home from the hospital, and they cooked for us every day while they were here. They went to the store. They didn't ask us for any money, nothing. They went to the store the morning after they got here, went shopping, and brought back all this food, and they were cooking for us every day while they were out here. If they weren't cooking, then they got us some fast food if they got fast food. But yeah, I was basically being taken care of this time around, so I feel like that helped a lot too. Like, I was eating the way I should be eating. I was definitely drinking a lot of water. I just feel like my postpartum was a lot smoother. I had help this time around, because the first time with my son, my husband, we were boyfriend and girlfriend at the time, so he was only there for a week before he had to fly out here. We weren't out here yet. Anyways, he had to leave to go back to work after a week. So I was by myself. I was a solo parent with our son. So yeah, it was definitely different this time around, and I loved it, and I feel like that contributed a lot to establishing my supply, because I was eating well, and I was hydrating and not stressing. And my husband, because it was nice having my husband help out a lot, and yeah. I feel like I should do my birth story or something, the birth story of this, of this, because everything just went so smoothly. Like, all right, the angle is different. My battery died, and once I adjusted this tripod, it's not acting right. So let's continue with this video before something else happens. Let's see. At week 2, by week 2, I was pumping for 30 minutes because I finally got the pumping bras. I highly recommend, but there is a hack to hacking nursing bras to be able to fit your pump. Also, week 2, I began to latch my baby again. I don't know. Either all the bottles, like I said, I didn't have enough bottles to store the milk in the fridge. Like, I needed to get them out of the refrigerator because I needed them to pump into store milk. So I was constantly freezing bags of milk trying to get those bottles out the refrigerator. But I think at this point, I think the bottles were all in the refrigerator, or they might have been dirty, and I was waiting on my husband to wash them out or something. And like, so I just latched her on. I was using a nipple shield, which I saw conflicting stuff about nipple shields, but I'm a fan of nipple shields, so I use it. That I'm gonna have to do a whole new video on that situation though. But I began to latch her again with a nipple shield, and I was not in pain. Before, like in the beginning, if I used a nipple shield, because I was still so tender, it hurt regardless, with or without the nipple shield. But this time around, the nipple shield, it was fine. And I was like, wow, she's actually latching on and she's actually drinking. And so that made me very happy. But yeah, so week 2, I was pumping every 3 hours and no night feeds. Did start doing once I realized I could latch her with the nipple shield. I then, in the middle of the night, if she woke up or was tossing because she was hungry, I latched her on. So I pump exclusively during the day, every 2, 3, or sometimes 4 hours. 4 hours. Ooh. But I pump during the day, and then I latch her in the middle of the night. And I feel like that's part of the reason why I haven't seen a dip in my supply, because I'm like breastfeeding in the middle of the night. So week 2, I was getting anywhere from 5 to 7 total per pump when I would pump during the day. And then I also wore Hakas, the ladybug Hakas. If you watched my video on my breastfeeding and pumping essentials, you will know what some of these products are that I'm mentioning. But the ladybug Hakas, I would put them in my bra, and I would also catch milk in there too. So at this point, I was filling up 6 bottles, her 6 bottles, and then I would freeze the rest of the milk that I would pump. I didn't want to get too ahead of myself. I remember saying that to my dad. Like, I was like, I kept a little bit of the express milk in the refrigerator because I didn't want to get too ahead of myself in the beginning, freezing like everything pretty much in the beginning, and then like say she needed more milk during the day and it's already in the freezer. So I didn't want to jump the gun and get too ahead of myself and get like freezer happy, but I was happy that I was able to start my little stash. I just didn't want to go extreme with it. I would say around week 3, I started experimenting just a tiny bit. Like, there's only been a tiny bit that I power pumped. Like, just, again, I was just trying to increase my supply in the beginning. But week 3 is when I like thought about power pumping. I probably power pumped maybe a total of 5 times, maybe, since week 3. It's not something that I did all the time. I also started tracking how much I was pumping with an app. So I don't recommend the app that I'm using. I have to update my phone so I can get a different app that I really want to start using. But I did start tracking my pumps with an app, and it's good for now, but I know there's something better out there. So I started tracking my pumps with an app, and also just so I can see what I make total at the end of the day. And also during week 3, I made sure I was trying to challenge myself to pump every 2 hours again, but that's actually hard to pump every 2 hours. So if I made it every 3 hours, then that's okay. And I tried not to stress too much about it. Keyword is try, because I stressed my own self out plenty of times. Oh, week 3, I remember week 3, she started there was like a day that she was crying. Like, we could not console her. I was worried she had colic. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to have to deal with this. Like if she did have colic, that wasn't something that I wanted to have to deal with, because I heard the babies just cry all day, every day for no reason at all. But yeah, that was a rough day, and she wasn't really drinking her bottles for real. So I did a lot of nursing at that time. But luckily I think that was only like a day and maybe a half a day the next day at that time. So maybe that was only like a day and a half, I think, at the most, of her crying uncontrollably and not really taking her bottles. But nursing helped. But it was rough. It was rough. And by week 4, I was getting a little lax on clearing out the bottles of the refrigerator. So I didn't have any bottles to pump into at sometimes, and so week 4 I was just pumping straight into freezer bags and freezing them. And I had a nice little freezer stash. If I can find all the pictures of I should be able to. I'm gonna insert them into the videos along the way so y'all can see, because I was sending them in my family group chat, my friends group chat, because I was so excited and happy. My supply was increasing, and yeah, I was getting a freezer stash, and I wasn't even a month along yet. So yeah, by week 4 I knew that I needed to buy a pitcher. If you never heard of the pitcher method, that's when you collect all the milk at the end of the day or throughout the day, and in a pitcher, and you keep it in the refrigerator for however long the milk is good for, and then you freeze it if you need to freeze it on that last day. So by week 4 I knew I needed a pitcher. My little baby woke up, but hey pretty girl. But by week 4 I knew I needed a pitcher. So I will be filming a video on my pitcher routine and how I store my milk, and when I store my milk, all that good stuff. But I am well past week 4. I stopped taking notes, but currently I am an oversupplier. Looking back, I was obviously an oversupplier then too, but yeah, it's just I know that I want to maintain my supply and make more. Oh, that's another thing. I do not take any special supplements or anything like that. I do eat oatmeal every day, unless I ran out. I just ran out yesterday of my oatmeal. But I've been eating a lot of oatmeal. I won't say a lot, never mind. It's not like I go overboard. I eat oatmeal for breakfast, and then if there's no dessert here, then I might eat some oatmeal for dessert. But yeah, I don't take any special lactation cookies, no special teas, none of that. So yeah, not saying they don't work or whatever. Like I mentioned before, I was eating very good when my parents were out here in the beginning, so I feel like that kind of helped. And then also being consistent. Recently I feel like I've fallen off with my consistency a little bit because I'm trying to maintain my house and also work on my business and watch my baby here. So throwing pumping into that too, it's like a lot, but I'm doing my best to stay consistent. I have, oh my goodness, I wonder if the microphone picked up that she's all here farting. But my baby is 2 months old now. I make about 40 ounces a day, or very close to 40 ounces, but 40 ounces a day. I would say she only drinks 3 ounces per feeding, 3 ounces every 2 hours. So I freeze milk every day. But yeah, I don't have any special gimmicks like food or supplements to give you. I just feel like it's consistency. Make sure that you are eating. And I'm the last person to tell someone to make sure they're eating, because I definitely struggle with that. I don't eat enough. I need to, and I know that. But yeah, but that's sometimes. I'm working on it. This week I've been eating, I feel like, a nice breakfast. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know down below. If there's anything you want me to see, breastfeeding or pumping related, breastfeeding / pumping related, then let me know. But definitely keep going. Don't give up, especially during that first week. Like, I would say definitely, if you feel like if you feel like you want to quit, actually, then go ahead and quit. It's all right. Formula is fine. I had a baby on formula. She's breastfed. So I can speak about both situations, and it can be taxing on your mental health with the whole pumping situation. So yeah, if you feel like you gave it a good try and you're still not seeing the results that you want, especially after talking to a lactation consultant. I didn't talk to one, but if you do everything possible and you're still not seeing the results that you want, then I get quitting for your mental health, because it is a lot. I couldn't imagine doing this the first time around, even though I wanted to, but I can imagine now, because this is a lot, and I was on my own. Let me know down below if you have any questions. And yeah, I'm just very happy to be a part of the breastfeeding, pumping moms club this time around. Like,